Good evening, guys. What's going on?
Good evening. How are you?
Hey, good, Jason. How are you? Bob, Jason, JoAnna.
Hey, how's it going?
All's well. All's well. Guys, you had some tremendous wins this week. This was awesome. I loved seeing on the Facebook group your updates and chat Facebook group. I think it was a great way to kick off the cycle. I hope you feel like you made progress. We can talk about, and we've got tons of videos on this stuff already in the archives, but I mean, we could talk about, sales and what to say in different situations, and those nuggets, they help situationally. But man, when you're working on your business and you're taking a step to just create a new path for yourself, and you're like, man, now it makes sense. Like I could take this path, and this is exactly, I have so much clarity. Like this is where I need to go in my business. And you're gonna have setbacks. You're gonna have people that aren't going to apply to your ads, and you're gonna have interviews that are gonna suck, and it's gonna feel like, oh gosh, like I feel like I wasted a week, or what did I do this for? But you know what? It's just like in sales. Like you need to experience those things in order to get closer to the successes. It's great to have low-hanging fruit. It's great to have wins right off the bat. It's great to invest in the stock market and get 10% on your first day. But you have to know that this is a journey, and that if you take all the right steps, it's going to work out for you. So let's let me ask you guys, who wants to kind of share first anything that they haven't shared, maybe a little bit more from the Facebook group. I know, Bob, you talked about getting a digital marketing agency to get you more leads. You said you signed up with somebody?
Yeah, I did. The part of the problem with franchise is that it's global or national. It's not as targeted as you would think it would be with the resource they could or should put behind it.
Yeah.
It's sold to, all that pay-per-click and SEO, that's all sold to the lowest bidder. And they don't put anything into your local SEO. It's always at a national level. So if anything is changed on, my webpage, they change on everybody's webpage. So a couple problems with that is, one, it's very hard to get into the show. You'll see mom and pop stores,
Right,
or people working out of their garage show before mine at some points. So it was just really frustrating. So I decided just to not go with that and go with a company that is more localized on the SEO.
mm-hmm. And they are local to your region, or they're saying they'll focus on your local region?
Yeah, they're gonna focus on my local region. He's the guy that's doing my account lived in Tampa for about 10 years. He just moved a couple years ago, so he's familiar with Tampa, at least anyways.
Yeah. Has anybody worked with a digital marketing company before, an SEO company? That's I know, I remember JoAnna actually, we talked about it, and it didn't pan out.
It was terrible.
Yeah. Well, what was your story?
Well, I don't, maybe y'all know what a BNI is. I'm in BNI, and I've been in BNI for 5 years, and it's a great organization, but we had a guy that was in digital marketing. And so it was something I'd never done. We've always just depended on word of mouth, and we did a little bit with Google AdWords ourselves, but that always did well for us. But I'm like, it was right after my divorce, and I'm like, let's try something new or whatever. So, I mean, and it was expensive. Well, I know expensive is relative, but it was $600 a month, and that's expensive to me. So I was expecting, and I signed a 6-month contract. So, I mean, it was a little bit more to set it up. So by the time I got done paying for it, it was, close to $4,000. And the only leads I ever got, or calls generated from it, were people trying to sell me graphic design services,
Oh man.
and people looking for neon repair. And I'm like, I don't do that. Like, I mean, it's not even anything. And, I told the guy, this is what's happening. And then he came back and blamed it on me because we weren't answering the phone calls. And then I look at the analytics on the website. Well, the people are calling at like 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, like they were supposed to set that up where the people, like our listing wasn't live, after 5 p.m. or whatever. So it was just kind of a mess. So I haven't tried it again since then, just because that was a lot of money for me to lose for no results. But
Well, and I know people who've had a lot of success in it. Bob, did you vet this company out at all? Did you, were they recommended to you? I know some of them even specialize in the sign and print industry.
Yeah, this guy, he was recommended by another franchise owner, and his ranking has gone up like first page every time, almost under anything you can look for to do with signage. His pay-per-click cost has gone down. His percentage or the cost per click has gone down,
Yeah,
but the number of calls has increased. So he's paying less,
right.
but getting more.
Yeah,
So
return on ad spend is higher. So, judging by JoAnna's contract, it kind of seems on the low side. Are you paying more?
a little bit more, $675 to manage it,
Okay,
and all the pay-per-click, everything is on top of that.
right. Okay, so yeah, in the same ballpark. And how about Rich, Jason? I know Rich, you have somebody in house that kind of does your marketing. How do you push marketing communications? What's your strategy?
Well, as a franchise, we are tied into a marketing group, and they manage our web page, our Google listings, and pretty much all digital marketing. And there's a marketing calendar that's built along with that I can choose to either elevate or, if someone, for example, if they wrote up neon repair, which JoAnna, I can completely appreciate. We've got 2 jobs for neon repair. It's like, what?
it's crazy. I guess it was people, and it was actually mostly people wanting to repair their beer signs. It wasn't like neon, like a sign on their building, like for their business. It was like, well, I've got this beer sign and we broke it. And I'm like, oh my God, like, no, I can't.
You could make at least $80 on that.
Well, finding someone that can actually do it. I mean, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there's like 2 people, and it's like, they're not anywhere close to me, and they're slow as heck, and it's not even worth it. Like, just to pawn it off on somebody, I was like, we don't do that. Sorry. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, as far as results, Tamir, I expect a lot more as far as leads and, qualified, but it doesn't give us as much as we want by any means. I am going down to our West Palm Beach next week, and we'll be meeting with them. And we have a marketing fund that is, we have to pay into it. It's an obligation, but it's only well, not only, but it is $650 a month, and it includes a lot more than you could purchase for $650 in the market, for sure. As I said, they manage our website, they elevate blog posts, they do a lot. I'd like to see more traction from it.
Are you like Bob said? Are you are from their efforts? Are you getting local stuff, or are you finding
Well, our Google business is all of our social media is geographically positioned. So I have I don't want to overlap other franchisees, for example. Not that I don't want to, but try not to. And so it is geographic. We occasionally, it hasn't happened in a long time now, but at one point I was bumping up my Google ad spend by about $1,200 a month. And the results were questionable at best. I was getting calls from people in Georgia and Florida. And the marketing company's explanation was that they were on vacation. And that's why.
Wow.
And after a week, I said, that's ridiculous. You got to come up with something better. And by the way, did you direct those leads to the right places? Oh, that's a good idea. We should do that. And I was irate at that point. I was like, really? That seems like a good idea, huh? So I haven't put any extra dollars into it. And I know 650 is short. My Google AdWords is probably exhausted after 3 clicks. So that's one of the things it's top of my agenda as far as meeting with them, because I do see the value. It just needs to pan out better. We don't see enough, just cold leads coming in through. I can identify what comes in organically and what comes in through the AdWords and the other tools that we have out there. So when a lot of my lead generation is organic. It's not anything that, it's not that it's nothing based. It's not that they're not inputting something, but it should be a lot more.
Yeah. And it's possible that what are your choices? Like, you could put more into it if you get a better feeling that it could pan out, or do you have the option to say, guys, I'd rather, research my own agency?
The 650 is an obligation that I have to pay. It's a marketing fund that is, it's a requirement of the franchise. And as I said, it's not just the social media and web. For example, the marketing fund sponsored I don't know if it was the international or the national axe throwing competition, which I thought was bizarre, quite honestly, but they did. I would have rather seen, if you're going to go with something like that, go with cornhole. I make cornhole boards.
Right.
But they do a lot of other, a couple of national campaigns. I don't think it's running anymore, but we had a national marketing, national TV advertising going on. I think it was on Fox or CNN last year, but I don't think they're doing that anymore. But at any rate, as I said, the $650 a month is an obligation, and it's not just social media and not social media, but SEO.
Yeah.
But again, they do a good job. It just needs more results. So, and that's, of course, they're going to say, well, just, write a check. That'll be the answer.
Our biggest clients came from referrals, and they came from and they came from direct selling. So when you're going on when you're going digital marketing space, it's tough. It's already kind of you already are climbing an uphill battle. It's kind of like trying to pick a stockbroker to work with, right? I mean, you could probably do better just putting it, into an ETF fund, right? Or just, going with the market, as opposed to trying to put your money with a trader. What do they know that the market doesn't know? Okay, so what is the digital marketing world going to do to pick out the customers that are going to be right for me at the margins that I want, plus at a conversion rate that's going to make it worth it? Because these guys are coming in, they're shopping online, they're searching online. So yes, it's great that they're at the bottom of the funnel and they're ready to buy, but the problem is that they have no relationship with you. They don't know anything about you. So you're just like everybody else. You're just a price to them. And if you can do it or if you can't. Now, if you have this unique capability, then and you're looking for them, and you're looking for, you're searching and you're looking for somebody that has a unique capability, that's one thing. But you're going to show up on a list of many people, and it's good to be number one on the search. That's great. And if you have, but they're going to, they might put a quote with a few people too, right? So if you're offering something that everybody else can do, then your conversion rates aren't going to be as great as if you only provided something that was more unique. So what can really increase your return on these things is having somebody that can follow up on these people. Okay. So if you're going to get leads coming in and they may or may not be ready to buy at that moment, they're just inquiring, right? But you don't have the resources to continue the relationship with them. You just give them a price and you just tell them that you tell them that you could do it. Here's the price. You don't have any follow-up. You don't have any, you don't have anybody trying to say, hey, what else do you guys do? Let's talk about your business. I have time. I'm a inside person. I'm not the business owner who's got his or her head in a million different places. I have time. I'm an inside person. I can come see you. How about we set up a meeting and establish a relationship? That's why I think that unless you are offering something that you can sell at a high enough margin and at a high enough conversion rate, then digital marketing is always going to be a gamble. So if you're going to do it, I'm not saying don't do it, but if you're going to do it, man, do your homework. Make sure you're getting a referral from somebody, preferably in the industry, preferably, in a region like yours. I don't think digital marketing companies will necessarily work with the same exact business in the same exact region. Some will, some won't. But that's kind of like my 2 cents about it. I don't necessarily know the right answer. This is just my, belated opinion on it. Does anybody have any personal experience that would go for or against that in general, whether it's digital marketing or just web leads in general?
Well, I just think you have to be careful because I see all the time ads for degrees, in digital marketing. So I think those people are starting to become kind of like a dime a dozen. And
Yes.
so everybody say they're in digital marketing after they've taken this one little certification class. So like I said, the guy that I bought it from, he is a salesperson. He literally has sold everything. Like now he quit the digital marketing company and he's selling tractor trailers, like 18-wheelers or something. I'm like, so I don't think he even believed in what he was doing, So, I mean, we do have a new guy now that's in our group that does digital marketing, and he's actually kind of given me some tips like for free, which, I appreciate. He was just kind of, just being a good friend and doing that. But he kind of turned us on that, both of my employees are Spanish speaking. Spanish was actually their first language. So he suggested that maybe, if I decide to sign up with him, that we start running Google ads in Spanish, because it's kind of an untapped market. You don't really think about running ads in Spanish. And I'm like, well, he's like, you have that capability, with both of your employees. He's like, you need to start capitalizing on it. I'm like, I mean, that's pretty true. So I think you just, like you said earlier, you really have to vet them, and I don't really know exactly what the best way is, but this guy's already, kind of impressed me way more than the other people did. So I am looking into that soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think in terms of lead generation, I think all lead generation is great. Digital marketing, SEO, funnels, ads, Facebook, whatever, social media, trade show, list blasting, everything is great, but it's so top of funnel. Like there's this whole middle of the funnel that you need to, there's sludge, right? Because there's people that are just coming in, but they're either not qualified or they're not willing to buy from you because you don't have a relationship with them yet. You really haven't sold them on the solution. They think they know what the solution is. So they come to you and they're like, like, I have this great idea. What about a sign, or a wrap or something like that? And maybe because it sounds cool. I see, my competition doing it. How much is it? And then you get the specs and you give a price. And what these people aren't experiencing is the emotion of not getting that solution. It's not really the cost. They shouldn't be really weighing the cost of getting the solution versus not getting the solution. They should see what actually it is that they have to see the cost of not getting the solution. Like, what is the cost of not getting your vehicle wrapped right now? Is your business hurting? Like, why are you coming to me with this? Why are you calling me today for a vehicle wrap? Well, I think, I want to put, it's about time I got my phone number on there. Well, why do you want to get your phone number on there? Well, because, I want to drive around. I want to get some business, And let me ask you a question. You want to look like this guy or do you want to look like this guy? These two vans are driving up next to a customer. Who do you think's getting the call? Who do you think looks like a more legitimate business? That's what a salesperson does. They come from a place of passion, of really wanting to help. Like, I want to help you get more business. The reason I exist is to get you more business. So don't just put a phone number there. Get something legit, dude. Get something that's really going to make a mark in your territory. Make something memorable. Okay? You do wayfinding signage. What do you want? Like PVC, with letters and arrows? Or do you want your workers today who would leave you on a dime to feel like they're part of something greater than just hallways in a building? All right. So, but it's tough as business owners to convey that to all these opportunities because we're slammed with all these things. And it's tough. You think, an entry-level receptionist is going to do that? No. And as long as you're a company that has like only a few employees, up to a half a dozen, you can't really pigeonhole any one person that you look at to come into your organization. To look at somebody and and Bob, you kind of inspired me in this part of this particular rant, to look at somebody and say, hey, they're only worth like $10 an hour because I just need them to answer the phones. Well, you don't just need them to answer the phones. You need them to grow into so much more. But I don't want somebody in my company who only values themselves at $10 an hour to represent me and sell 4 or 5 figure solutions. What's going to happen when they're like, oh, it's too expensive. Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the opportunity. With a little bit of knowledge, that person can be a little bit more passionate about the product. But if they only value themselves at that wage, they're not going to value your brand. They're not going to value you. And so, getting somebody to represent you in the front end is more about what you need them for now, especially when we're only, 3, 4, 5, 6 people strong in our company. You need to hire somebody who is really worth $30 an hour, but they'll be happy to get paid 15, 18. not 10 to 12. I don't care where in the country you're at. And if they were happy to get that before, if there were people flocking to, good for them that they don't want that wage anymore. Maybe people will start valuing themselves more. And I think that if somebody came to me and I'm doing a couple 100,000 in revenue, and I've got somebody, you know, who looks like, man, they can kill it. I don't even know where they would stop. You know, at $15 to $18 an hour, you know, that's kind of like partner level on with the revenue that I have. So how much faith do I have that if this person is partners with me, that together we can make something special? What do you guys think? Jason, JoAnna, I see you nodding your heads. Bob, I see your your bees shaking, but I think that's just the caffeine that I had.
That'd just be your caffeine.
It's a caffeine. Yeah.
I think
What do you guys think?
I think the saying of "you get what you pay for" definitely relates with employees as well. I mean, not always. Something happened in my life and in my business about 5 years ago where my whole mentality changed. I used to be the one who would get up on the roof to fix the roof instead of being in my shop putting together a 5-figure quote. And so I've had to build the value within myself so that I could see the value in bringing employees in, or I don't call them employees, they're my team members. So I used to try to get by with whoever I could get in the door to pay minimum wage, but you get what you pay for. And if they only value themselves at a minimum wage, and that's all that they see that their value is worth, then they're not even going to show you half of that value. But when you bring someone in and you pay them well, I mean, you have to be smart about it too, you know, as far as the financials go. But when you pay them what you see the worth in them, even if it's someone who may not see that, then that goes a long ways, and that brings that even brings more loyalty into the company because you saw something in them that they didn't even see in themselves. My payroll is higher than it ever has been. We're about to in the past cycle, you know, we had talked about bringing an installer in, and I've got an installer starting full time on the 28th. Now he has more roles than that, but he's a metal fabricator, installer. And so my payroll's even about to jump up more. I'm a little bit nervous, but at the same time, what I keep reminding myself is that am I going to continue to belittle my worth as a business owner and do the lower level things, or for my employees, build the company, work on developing the company and building the company so that they have something to look forward to in the future. And they're really respecting the fact that I'm doing that because they've all bought into that it's a team and it's not a family. I mean, it's like more like a team or family rather than just a job.
Beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it's like when you pay for a machine, right? You get this new machine. You get a little nervous, like you don't know if you could justify it. You want to keep it running. You know, you've got these loan payments, or if you're depreciation at least, and it's hitting your P&L that way. You've got to justify the machine, and you just brought it in. It's nerve-wracking, but that's what makes it so exciting. It's okay that it's nerve-wracking.
And that's what's going to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
I was stayed at the same level for the first 10, 12 years of my business.
Yeah, man. I mean, in order to get where you want to go, you have to do things nobody else is willing to do. And nobody else is willing to do these things because it makes them nervous, because they're afraid of loss, because they're afraid of failure. But you know what? I'm afraid of missing out. I'm afraid of missing out what it's going to be like to be a level 7, a level 8, and before that, what it would have taken. I was answering the phones myself. My parents wouldn't let me off the hook unless I found somebody else to answer the phones. I was doing the estimating all myself. When I took it over from my mom, I was it. And I had to find people to train that to. And yeah, was it scary? Like, paying people. Yeah, we first actually, and I speak from experience, like we first tried the $10-12 an hour route. I mean, this was 10 years ago, but we quickly found that we're like, hey, this wage is attracting a certain type of person, and it's not that they're dumb, it's just that they're limiting themselves. It's like, I have all this brain, but I only choose to use this much of it. And it's it's sad, but I can't spend I can't spend the the 8-10 hours a day I'm putting into my business to motivate them to to use the other part of their brain that I know they have. I want to get people who are like, hey, I've got all this capacity, just feed me information, teach me. I've got the attitude, I've got the work ethic. My situation, at my personal situation, is not coming into work. I know how to manage that. It's all these things that are not in the, or at least less so in that $15 to $25 an hour employee, that is not as that's a lot more abundant in the 10 to 12. But listen, Bob, if you want to go 10 to 12 because your region better than any of us over here, so I completely respect that. I just wanted to kind of hear it, have you hear it from my side and a couple of your colleagues. If you're saying, hey, I'm gonna go to July, see what happens. Don't cut your nose to spite your face. That's all I'm saying.
Who do you think is applying for those $18 job? That same $10 to $12 person.
What was the question, Bob? I'm sorry.
My point is, right now, the way Uncle Sugar is giving away the money, those people that are in that $10 to $12 range,
Mm-hmm.
You offer them 18, you're getting that same $10 to $12 person. You're not getting anything higher. You're not getting a better quality person. You're getting that $10 to $12 person come off welfare.
Maybe not. You haven't gone on the interviews yet. Have you put an ad yet for an $18 person?
No, but I know everybody else that has been in my region. I have other companies that are saying the same thing. They're trying to raise the prices up and they're getting, the bottom.
So you're making a bet, Bob. You're saying that I'm betting that this is going to be a short-term thing on the market. That's fine. You can make that bet. That's I'm not, I'm not an industry expert. I'm not in your region. I'm not in the World Bank. Or the Federal Reserve. Like I'm not in this. But having a business is about making bets. So that's cool. Now hedge your bet. Okay, this is how you hedge your bet. If you're going to be like, no way in hell I'm even going to put an ad for anybody else, for anything higher, you are all in on getting that $10 to $12 an hour person at a certain time horizon. Maybe that's the end of July, by the end of August, maybe. How long are you willing to hold out? Are you willing to hold out, through the end of the year, more?
I'm just saying, if I'm going to pay that $18 an hour wage,
Yeah.
I'm going to get somebody that can do more than answer the phone for me.
Absolutely, and you should. Yep.
Skilled person.
Look, you can put that ad out. You don't have to. You don't have to say, it's not like eBay, where somebody's going to win the bid. You can put that ad out and just talk to people. Just look at the resumes. And just see, you might be able to. I absolutely implore you to get somebody that does more than answer the phones. I would rather you get an $18 an hour employee that does a shit ton more than answer the phones than an $8 employee that just answers the phone.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm going with that point. When the position that I'm looking to fill is not an $18 an hour job, and I will not pay that much to do that position.
The position, okay, so that's my point of contention. The position you're looking to fill is just somebody to answer the phones?
Basically, just front end answer calls. Not. I wasn't looking for somebody to go out and sell the company.
Okay, now they're going to answer the phones. Customers are going to call and they're going to be like, can I talk to Bob? And the $10 an hour employee is going to say, sure. Or Bob's not available. Can I take a message? And that's what you want.
That's what I was saying for that position. That's what I'm not looking for, that $18 to go out and sell the company for me.
No,
I'm
I'm not go out and sell the company for you. Not today, right? Because that's not what you need this moment. But the person that has already, what you're trying to do is to develop a person like that, because a person like that who's going to really sell for you is really worth 30 to 25 to 30, and you're trying to get them for 18 today. And what you have to see this as is a training program to develop that person into that role. It starts by answering the phone. Today it starts by answering the phone. Tomorrow it starts, it could be, the figurative tomorrow. Tomorrow it could be, hey, in between calls, would you mind just calling all these people that we did quotes for and just kind of saying, hey, what's up? I know, Rich, you do this as a protocol every single day. You follow up. You have somebody following up on your, on your calls. That has to be a different level than an entry, a receptionist.
Yes, it doesn't necessarily have to be. It depends on what with those calls aren't, either we kind of divide it up. And if it's a very qualified lead, particularly a corporate as opposed to an individual, then the call is to make sure you got the quote. Do you have any questions? If you do, if you can answer the questions, great. If you can take the answers down and get back to them, that's what we'll do. If it's a corporate level, then I'm generally going to make that call. If it's someone like Whirlpool or someone I can identify pretty quickly. Now, you don't always know that based on the input that we got. If some guy named Tamir called and is interested in something, I may not know that you work for Grand Image and you want to buy a flatbed printer. So it's mostly just another touch. So I think it can be done by an entry level, and that's not entry level, but someone who's obviously they're smart enough to answer the phone. You trust them to make a call as well. So yeah, it can be done by that front end person. And that's who does it in our shop, primarily. As I said, I kind of vet them. I typically will look and what estimates went out yesterday. All right, I'm going to call this person. I'm going to call this person. You're going to call these four, and that's the way we handle it. So.
And what's the wage of this front end person?
16. But this is the Northeast, so that's
the Northeast, a different area. Yep.
That's $10 in Florida.
What's our minimum wage here now? I forgot. I knew it.
$12.75, I believe. Maybe more.
God. It's $7.25 here, I think.
Yeah, we're considerably more.
Same down here.
Our minimum wage, I believe, is somewhere around 13. I think. I shouldn't guess, but especially with Google, guess anything.
Ours is
So-
720, 725, 750, something like that. But
And your front end person is at 17, you said, Jason?
17. But this here is how I do it.
Mhm.
Any of my new employees, I mean, any of them that work up to being able to answer the phone or whatever, they all start as just operators in production. Even if I'm hiring someone for CSR or something like that, they're going to spend at least 3 months in operation. The reason being is, or in production, because then they have a better understanding, a better feel. Even my graphic designer who came on board in January, been a graphic designer for 20 some years, but it's been more closer to doing t-shirts and promotional items rather than signs. Made him work production. Now I made an exception for him. I made him work production for a month, just so they understand that. Now my front end person has been with me for 8 years. She came through the work study program at the high school. So I mean, I got a 23-year-old that runs my front end, but she's been with me when I was the front end person. And so gradually over time, what I would do is just say, hey, look, listen to my call, listen to when I take a phone call. I put on speakerphone so she could hear, because at that time it was me and her and one other person in the shop. And so so she, when she answers the phone, she can handle it. If they ask for me, I'm busy. What, he's busy, but what can I do to help you? And she can make the sale right then. And some of the training I'm going to share with her and start working with her on is more in depth on sales. But when she starts doing more of that, then it's obviously that pay's going to come up.
And Jason, you're looking for, now you're ready to get a salesman. You've been on the, on the Facebook group saying that you're looking for a salesperson going to a hunter. You have an appointment with a headhunter tomorrow. You do know that that's gonna be like $6,000 to $10,000, if they find somebody on, as part of their fee.
Well, tomorrow is actually, I'm going, I do have that appointment, and actually it's just a research appointment because they're customers of ours, and I asked them if they would just sit down with me and talk to me about what would make that position, what kind of offer would make that type, make it attractive to someone. I mean, not just the bottom scraper, because if I'm going to do a bottom scraper, I'll just train Sydney more and get her out on the street.
Right.
But what will really attract someone like that in my area? I live in a small town. Some of you are in a lot larger areas, I'm sure, especially Bob and Tampa and things like that. But what in this area is available? What's going to make it an attractive offer, and so on. So I'm starting to do my homework on that.
That's great.
And all, because I really feel like that would, I mean, it's not going to be a decision that's made by the end of this month or anything like that, but I'm definitely doing my homework because I know that will take me to another level.
Yeah, no, and before, and I don't know if you thought about this, but they're probably going to ask you, hey, like, what do you want them to do for you exactly? If you thought about what that is. I mean, if it were me, I've got plenty of ideas, but and I'll help you fill in some holes. But what did you have in mind for the salesperson to do for you?
Well, a lot of it, from the little bit of knowledge that I have, a lot of it has to depend upon how far can they take this sale. Are they just well known in the community with some sales experience that can get us turned on to someone, and then they call my office and get a pricing, or if they're willing, have experience and they're willing to make the sale on the spot, which is the best way, then of course they would make more percentage and all. So just to generate more revenue, obviously, is the main goal. I guess to their experience and to their experience level would depend upon which route we went.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the sales process that is like strictly selling and universal, and then there's stuff that's specific to every industry that is technical. And if you can kind of isolate what is technical and keep it out of their radar for a little while until they, you know, learn little by little and know how to field those types of those types of situations, you know, then they're going to do so much for you because they're going to do the stuff that you don't really have time or want to do, like obviously get you in the door, you know, pound the pavement, get appointments, get those first opportunities, you know, push samples, stuff like that. And when you have opportunities, that's when you take, that's when their technical training comes in. It's like, oh yeah, they're ready for a quote. They want to sign whatever. And then, okay, you get on a call together with them, with the, you know, with the prospect, get all the details, and then offline you explain to the salesperson, you know, what's going on, what you're doing with the pricing and everything, so that they understand the project at least, you know, on a high level, at least on the level the customer can understand.
Sure.
And maybe in the beginning you're the one, and this may be different per application. You might want to limit the applications at first to your highest margin applications, so that you can, you know, justify their commission. What are a couple of your highest margin applications?
LED message centers, lighted signs,
Okay.
pylon signs.
Good. And there's plenty of opportunities, you know, for that. And kind of think of it as a progression of training. Like, okay, let's just talk to people about, you know, LED signage, or, you know, LED message centers and such. So you start, that's the objective, to get them interested in that, to get the prospect interested in that, or to at least intrigue them enough to have a conversation about it. And then as the salesperson gets some mileage, they can start cross-selling into secondary, tertiary products that, you know, might not be as lucrative, but are up there. You know, they're not, I don't know, what's the non-lucrative part of our business? Lettering,
Banners and yard signs.
banners and yard signs. I didn't want to say that because that's my business and we make a lot of money. But
Hey, you know,
Just saying.
so does the person selling toothpicks.
that's right. So yeah, and it's really going to help them in their training, and then they're the ones following up because they have the capacity to. And I really think that should be, you know, the initial path. Think of that one product, simplify to multiply. You might have heard that before, but I always think about it every time we're like, oh, vendors try to push all these new materials on us, and we got new products here, new products there, trade shows, right? I mean, it's all these opportunities, but they could lead you astray, right? So if you have a salesperson and he's like, I just want you to learn LED shit, you know, and here are the vendors we use. It doesn't even have to be that technical. Just they'll want to learn. Okay. You don't even have to train them. The only real training you would do is when they actually have an opportunity. And of course you can have a program where they can shadow people in the shop, like you say you do. Put that salesperson in production. If they're really gung-ho about selling and they're passionate about your product, you can interview them and saying, hey, this is part of the training program, and see how they react. If they're like, oh, that's cool, I love this stuff, yeah, and you've got somebody that is gonna wave your banner. What do you think about that strategy, keeping it to one, maybe two related products that are high margin, that even if you don't get a lot of conversions, that that one conversion every now and then could help move the needle forward for you?
I'm open to that. My initial concern for that would be because of the area that we service. If that would be enough income to sustain them, to keep them on board.
Mm.
Where if they offered, you know, maybe our best product in our 4 departments, which is signage, apparel, promotional items, and I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, there's another one.
Yeah. No. I think you make a good
Um,
point, because you want frequency of opportunity, because that's, especially in the beginning, you know, if they're only going to talk to a customer a week about a quote, because that's what the market is, that's, you know, that may or may not be enough to be revenue sustaining. But the bad part is, in the beginning, it's not enough repetitions for the person to actually be able to sell this independently one day. So
right. That makes sense.
I think that sweet spot is that decently margined product that you do a fair amount of. You know, it doesn't have to be the number one highest margin product, but something where, you know, passively you get several opportunities a week. And even on the business that comes in, at least now you could be like, hey, follow up with these people. We want to get this type of work. You know, do your sales thing for these opportunities. Keep them.
I got you.
Keep them in your Rolodex.
Cool, dude.
Cool. I'd be interested to hear how that conversation goes. See what insight, you know, they give, you know, into that process. JoAnna, how'd it go with you this past week? You know, when it came to handing over those 1 or 2 clients over to Laura, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's gone okay. Like I said, I think I told you finishing up one project that we've been working on for like 3 or 4 months. And so I would hate to like throw her into the middle of it when, you know, I've been kind of involved, whatever. But there is another, not as large customer, but one that's still a pretty major one that I have turned over. They're a local aerospace company, and they're kind of, you know, I've kind of kept to them because everything they need is just very specific to these specs, because they're, you know, going on the airplane and they have to be very, you know, spec'd on the material. We have to fill out these forms every time we make anything for them, and it's just a hassle. And so I was like, here you go. Yeah, so it was good. I mean, she's fine, and Laura's very smart. I mean, you know, and kind of like you were saying, like, I even hate to call her my employee, because I mean, like I said, she's been doing it 3 times longer than me, so I'm always double checking everything I do with Laura. Like, she's the boss, you know, whatever. So I mean, I really shouldn't have any hesitations in doing any of it. But no, there was 2 or 3 this week, and you know, I turned over one of my other big customers to her probably last year. And they're, you know, not aerospace, but they make heavy machinery, and they need, you know, very specific things to certain heights and things like that. Well, somehow we make 4-inch letters and numbers for them, like hundreds at a time, for them to put on these machines. Well, somehow these letters that we just ran for them, like 2,000 different letters, were 4 inches and a quarter instead of 4 inches. And then he called me and was like, we can't use these. And I was like, here you go, Laura. Like, I mean, you know, because it's always my thing. I want to jump in and I want to manage it and take care of it and make sure it gets whatever. But I was like, I need you to handle this. And she did. I mean, you know, without me intervening at all. I just kind of forwarded her the email and was like, what are we going to do about it? So yeah, it's hard, but I really should have more faith that I can let go and things can be handled. So
There's faith, right? But then there's also commitment to your faith, right? So how committed, you know, are you? There's the faith that it's going to be okay, but it's like a commitment requires sometimes that, you know, in times of lack of faith, that you'll still persevere. And sometimes when it feels like, you know, it was the wrong decision to make, you still keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And use that as a data point.
Oh yeah, for sure. So is that what they call blind faith? Just like
I think blind faith is an oxymoron. You know, faith is, you don't know. right? If you don't know, then that's faith.
Mhm. But no, it's been fine. Yeah, and I've been doing that a lot actually, like letting them handle when things go wrong. And I'm lucky and things really don't go wrong that often, but it always seems like when they do, it's like the worst possible time, or the worst possible thing that could go wrong. And before, I've always been like, okay, I'll handle it, just leave it alone, whatever. But I've just been like, okay, well, it's the problem, so how
Mm,
would y'all solve it? How are we going to solve it?
yeah.
So, and I think that's been really good that they know that, I can trust them to take care of it. And I'm not mad, I mean, well, I'm not saying I'm never mad, but, I would never take it out on them or anything. But, it's because mistakes happen. I make mistakes, we all make mistakes. So, but,
Good. Okay. So you're gonna hand it off. You're committed to
No,
that.
I am. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I mean, school just got out, and my business, maybe it's the same with y'all. When people are on vacations, we're slow. Like,
Mhm.
right after school ends, picks back up, towards August-ish, and then kind of we're ramped up, and then, November, December, whatever, we're kind of slow again. So, I don't finishing a couple projects for them, and we probably won't have anything major for, a month or so, but as soon as I start getting some more stuff, I'm definitely gonna and she wants it. She asks me all the time. She's like, "You have anything I can work on?" And I'm like, whatever. And so, she's not afraid, and I need to be less afraid, and I'm going to be. So,
Good. Good. So yeah, I mean that'll put you right on the path
mhm.
of of getting past that CSR level into into the executive, and then your focus might be kind of like Jason's and saying, okay, now I need to focus on increasing my revenue. So you have a few options there. Do you want to be the outside rep? Do you want to try to get an outside rep? Or do you want to just have kind of like a call center and have things coming in inbound, where you have somebody, whether it's you or somebody else, following up
Mm.
and making sure that leads are properly nurtured. Have you thought have
Yeah,
you thought have you thought about the direction you want to go there?
no, I don't think I really have. I mean, when my ex-husband and I, when we owned our company, and then we also owned half of an electrical sign company, and we had tried a few times with that company to have, outside sales, and it always just went horribly. So I'm pretty jaded when it comes to um, going that path. But I mean, I think, some kind of lead generation thing where, we can just follow up on it. I think that would be all right. And I mean, I've never called myself a salesperson because I still have the problem, and y'all are probably going to think you're crazy for being a business owner, but I still feel guilty asking people for money. I mean, that's always been a thing for me. I was in banking for a long time. They always wanted us to do sales goals. I'm just not that kind of person. So I know that's something I have to get over personally, but, um, I've just found my niche in doing the networking and building the relationships, and then I build the relationships, and then those people trust me, give me business, and they refer me to other people, and it's worked really well. But I'm just not a door knocker, so I don't think I'm ever going to be a true outside salesperson. But I have done well in the things that I do that I guess are kind of sales-ish, through networking. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I would love to have an outside salesperson. I don't know. I don't know if it's the area I'm in, or just looking in the wrong places, or what, but
Yeah, well, let's say that you were able to get to get opportunities. Right? Opportunities came in, not necessarily quotes, but it's like, hey, this company just is interested in what you have to offer.
Mhm,
I convinced them to talk to you.
mhm.
Can you have a conversation with them and try to get the ball rolling that way once they've
Yeah.
already kind of handed
Oh
over?
yeah, in that way, that's totally fine. I mean, and I get that kind of lead all the time from my BNI group where it's like, someone's opening this business. They said they might be interested and whatever. And I'm fine with calling, but like just getting it started myself, just like going, it's just not for me. So, but yeah, I mean, if someone's kind of, it's a warm lead or whatever, I mean, I think that's no problem at all.
Mhm. So, something that I've vetted, that I've in the process of vetting, we are going to be doing this at Grand Image. Once the rebranding is in place, once the salespeople I have are, they've got, they've got their processes in place. I am getting an outside agency to set up appointments for them on certain applications. These people are going to be getting, cold calling, all these different types of, now, so we're wholesale to the trade in many applications, so we go national, but you could easily go local with this effort, and do businesses or do institutions, like you said, like you wanted to attack. Those are your dream clients, right? Those institutions. What do you think about exploring this, like talking to a few agencies and saying, hey, I heard that the purpose of your business is to just, set up opportunities for people like me. Does that sound interesting to you?
Definitely.
Okay. I forwarded this to Bob because it was interesting, um, to him at the time, and he's, I don't know, Bob, if you have, if you've talked to them yet, but I know it was also kind of premature too with all the things that you have going on.
Yeah, and I was going to kind of see what happens here the
Yeah.
next few weeks.
Yep. That makes sense. But JoAnna, so I've interviewed and I've listened to sample calls of several agencies, and I really liked what, this one agency had with it was a combination of, like, I saw great value in their packaging, in what they gave for deliverables in terms of reporting. You get to hear the recordings, you get to, you get all these leads. It's not like, oh, I'll just wait until you get me a handoff. No, you get the progress of, like, all the people that they've contacted. So I'll give you that information. If that's something, is that something you could, that would interest you, and that you could say, hey, I'll set up an appointment with this guy and just hear what their business is about.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be nice.
Yeah. I think it would be cool. Good. So we're just moving the needle, forward here, with everybody towards, towards the next thing, to getting towards that next level. Rich, how'd it go with, with you and
Kerry.
Sorry?
Kerry. Good. It's still, we're giving her a little more leeway. She's got some home things to work through. She's got a couple of school age kids. One of them, one of her explanations was, some family things are tying her brain up, but she's looking over the hill right now. School's over, no summer school for a kid, and she's very happy about that. And we've got a lot of faith, and I don't believe it's misplaced. She's she's quirky, but I think that's a lot of her benefit. To a lot of her quirky personality is what makes her, makes us more confident that she's more capable than we've seen. So we're gonna, continue to have faith, and she knows, we didn't write her up per se, but I did what you said. I said, let's sit down and, what are your dream job description? What do you really enjoy doing? And she wrote down some of the, the things that we really want her doing. It was almost like she was, I know why, I know what and why she wrote. And then we said, well, what are you're not doing any of these things. What's going on? If you really enjoy them, do them.
Sounds
So
like entrapment.
it really
Couldn't help
was.
yourself, Rich.
What's that?
You couldn't help yourself.
It was entrapment. It really was. And she was laughing. I mean, when she handed it to me, she's like, so this is why we're talking, which is pretty funny. And she knew right away. She's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I got some more things to show her to, while we've been speaking, I actually had taken a look at my SEO dashboard, and that's something I can influence organically without paying. And I'm looking at, between Facebook, Instagram posts, things like that. There needs to be daily activity. Even if it's just a picture or a shout out to a client, whatever. I don't care if it's, hey, my kid's last day of school. I don't care what, we put up. I care what we put up there, but Google recognizes things like that.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a constant flow of new and interesting things that people click, then you're not gonna rise in the cream. So I'm confident. I continue to be confident, and I don't think it's misplaced.
Are you okay? So that's good. I mean, it sounds like it was a good meeting. She's kind of got some new life a little bit, and we'll see where it goes. Are you in a place where you're able to not be in the shop?
Well, we're going to find out, because both
you're going to
both Dan and I are gone Friday early afternoon through Wednesday.
Oh, Dan too, huh? Your production manager.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of confidence in Dan's more of a GM than the production manager.
Oh, okay.
So a guy by the name, this guy Lee is more of he's a designer, but we've been teaching him how to use the equipment, and he's very very capable. And knows how to problem solve, knows how to not create problems. And if he does, we're intentionally going to shut off our phones and whatnot, but we've told Lee, you call, we're answering. Don't call.
Yeah. I know the feeling. Yep.
Yeah. So we'll find out. Something else.
And how many days is that? Well, how many business days?
Not, I wouldn't count Friday afternoon. So just Monday through Wednesday.
Monday through Wednesday. Yeah, that's a good test.
Yeah,
that's a good test.
It is. I'm confident there won't be any issues that I'm going to have to, freak out about. And they'll solve problems. It's a good team.
And this is the last time, or this is the first time you've been away from the shop?
No.
For this time?
Okay. I never really answered the question as far as, and I can't remember the ratings, but sales would go down, but the shop would not stop running if I wasn't there.
Okay, sales would go down because I'm not saying like you wouldn't work, but could you sell?
Oh, yeah. I'm not barely there, but I was not there all day today.
Okay.
That's not extraordinary. I'm doing something else. Like, we had a very, very important customer of ours who's turned the page as far as I convinced them not to buy cheap ADA signs anymore. We've been producing cheap stuff for them, and they identified that it's cheap. And I'm like, oh, it's your budget. What do you want to do about it? And so I went with a kid, and we installed about 40 signs. Took a couple hours, but I set him on it, and I wasn't. He was probably sitting around most of the day. I was back at their office, telling them how great this is going to be and how we gonna change your budget. They build a lot of mid-rise apartments, and so I wasn't in the shop all day.
Yeah, and so that's definitely on the, at least the CSR level, because you are communicating with customers. If you're saying that if you didn't work or you didn't go to the shop, you would lose sales because you are still the customer facing, mainly the customer facing person, or you're just looking at,
Uh,
you're just customer facing for new or large or weird opportunities.
yeah, that's the latter.
The latter.
I'm good at identifying something that someone may not. So as I said, I kind of review, not kind of, I review who the estimates went to and whether or not it warrants me getting into it. And if that means that, I'm going to deliver something, or I'm going to schedule some time to meet with someone, whatever it is. Nobody looks at my schedule and says, well, Rich will be here, so I don't have to be. Dan and I obviously confer on a lot of, making sure that we've got each other covered. So one of us is almost always in the shop, but neither of us both have to be there.
Mhm.
And we're going to find out if neither of us are there, are things still moving forward? And I think they will. I'm not afraid of it at all.
Do you want to stop being the customer facing person for these types of opportunities, or is this like,
No, I think
I could do this, for a while, I don't need somebody else to do it, to do it for me, I don't dream of getting a team to do it, and
it's I had the other very important meeting I had today was with a prospective outside sales rep / project manager, because whether I'm in the shop or not, I am generally poring over plan sets and trying to cull out details that generally aren't there. I'm making up a lot of stuff when I'm looking at a bid opportunity. And when I say a bid opportunity, I look at a lot of construction projects. I identified, based on who it is, what it is, and then it's generally not a bid. It's whether or not I can qualify us to take the job.
Yeah.
Because I know who's making the decision, and it's time consuming. But I know of an individual who has got the same network as me. He's very capable as far as, applying his product and work knowledge to signage. And he's a very much an operator who doesn't need any direction necessarily.
Good.
He can make his own decisions, and he's going to make minimum wage seem very, very low, however. So we'll see what transpires. But he's available right now, which is great. I have to pay him more than the government, which is hard.
Yeah.
But he hates the fact that he's not working. So we're gonna try and figure out how to work it out. So he may actually be in the shop, which will freak the other guys out. They'll be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Boss goes away, they bring a new boss in? What the hell?
Right.
I'm a little leery of that. I would have the conversation with them.
Yeah, you want to make them aware, and
Yeah.
why you're doing it too. And they might have questions. You want to, it's all for freeing you up so that you can bring more opportunities into into the shop. So yeah, no, that's great, and you have that person can do that, I don't know, day in, day out, several hours a day. Would you put him on something else? Is he
he's a hunter.
Oh, he's a hunter. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
a hunter that can read plan details and such.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. He's got a lot of the same experience as me.
A detail-oriented hunter.
Yeah. And you know, it's not rocket science. Count doors.
Right.
Count
But-
doors. Figure out what needs to
Yeah.
go on them.
Sure.
This, you know, it's if you.
Yeah, I think Rich, this is exactly who you need, because you have people on the inside that can do the day-to-day stuff. And now it's like this high level, you know, breaking down the opportunity. Now you have somebody that can actually you know, do the follow-up. You know, they can call the customer back. They can see what's taken so long, who the decision makers are. Maybe he can get a meeting with somebody else on a different opportunity. You know, that's what you want a salesperson to do, because they have the space for it and the willingness.
Yeah,
to
and he
do
knows our market extremely well.
it. Okay.
So he wouldn't be cold calling. He would be calling his network,
Mm-hmm.
and we share the network. So he would be, you know, we'd do a lot of joint calls, which, you know.
Yeah. So you and Jason are looking for this hunter type for two different reasons. Like, Jason's looking for somebody to expand opportunities, and you too, to an extent, but you have complex sales, and these complex sales require you know, just a little bit more, just kind of like a higher level than somebody who can just, you know, make appointments um, and create opportunities, right? It's understanding the technical aspects of it, right? I talked to Jason about, hey, you're going to start, there's so much of selling that is just selling, and then there's the technical, and you'll slowly introduce the technical, but this guy already knows technical.
Most of our meeting was focused on the fact that, you know, if you've got a great network, JoAnna, as you were saying, you don't even consider yourself doing sales, but if you're networking and you're part of your community and people refer you, that's better than cold calling all day. Way better.
Well, it is. I just, you know, people, I just hate to call, because I just don't ever think of myself as that, because I
would never, don't change.
Yeah.
Never make cold calls. I have a friend he's one of the most successful realtors in Remax's network.
Mm-hmm.
He will not take on a customer that was not referred to him. He won't, period. He'll refer them to someone else on his team. He won't take on the business.
Yeah.
Yet he's one of Remax. He's like number 3 in the country. So it's not a bad tact. I'd stick with it.
Yeah. And and like I said, I think it's been really good. There's just only so much that one person can do. I mean, you know, I've gotten very lucky, and I work in the area I grew up, and people in that area are loyal to me because I grew up there, and I do a lot of community reinvestment and giving back and volunteering and things like that. So, you know, it has worked, but I need another me to do that, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the type of individual that I am looking to bring on is kind of like another me, someone who can, you know, I wouldn't expect him to be in the shop. I wouldn't count his hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd know, you know, at 10 o'clock at night, he's reading about some project and he's figuring out how he can connect the dots and get us to have an opportunity there.
Definitely.
So, and that's kind of, you know, all I do is connect dots.
And then just imagine, like, if you were able to hand that off to that person, and then you all of a sudden had the space to just go out there and recruit more people like him, you know, that's when things really can really step
Well,
up. It's just give yourself the space to do that, and understand what it takes to give yourself that space.
It's going to be, hopefully it's going to be recruiting production people, because that's, you know,
Yeah.
if he does what I hope he does, then I'm going back into production. So
yeah, you gotta, you know, it's a timing pattern. You gotta, okay, you know,
well,
the opportunities are building, right?
Part of our conversation was we should act now, because come November, the government is going to start tapering back heavily what, he's already seeing it because he's on unemployment, and he's already seeing that suddenly the government's not as forthcoming with the money. They're requiring him to show evidence of job searches.
Yep.
And that's happening across, aggressively in some areas. And, if it's happening in Massachusetts, then I'm confident that the labor market will return, because it's been, ludicrous. So hopefully that timing works out, that in November we are just slammed and people are back in the market looking for jobs. We can hopefully be hiring. So
Looks that way. Guys, thank you so much. If there are any other questions, look, I'm here to keep you on track for what you came here to do. If you believe in being in going through this track of becoming a level 10 owner and knowing what that can do for you when you're ready to be in and out of the business as you please, understanding what you want to do now and saying, okay, new business is nice, but is new business now more important than making sure that I shore up the systems that I have to support that business? Do I want to be the one, even if it's like a $10,000 job, but I have to spend hours out of my day to quote it, and maybe I get it, maybe I don't. It's so complex. Like, I don't even know how to teach this stuff to somebody. I barely understand it. Like, there's so many things to weigh. Simplify to multiply, simplify to get your way to get yourself to this other level. The best companies will sell one product, do it amazingly, and then when the proprietor has a staff and that can sell it and that can provide the solutions, then maybe they expand into other applications. So maybe this motivates you to say, hey, I don't want to do this application anymore. I don't want to do this application anymore. Or if this application comes across my desk, I know, like, for me, there's so many things that come across my desk on the 3D front that in the beginning we quoted everything because we didn't know what would stick. Now that we know what would stick, if it's not like huge letters or a display, like a prop, Pizza Hut came to us and they wanted like 200 3D lampshades. I would have spent like 2 days trying to quote that project 3 years ago, but I literally said, nope, it's not for us, thank you. And that was, Pizza Hut, like, national brand. This was going to be a national rollout, but it wasn't going to be worthwhile for us. I wasn't going to get the job. It wasn't a fit. So you just have to be confident that there is so much to sell of what you can already do really well, and just do the things that you need to do in order to multiply that effort. All right, guys. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep posting on Facebook. I'm going to make those accountability calls. I want to follow up. I'm going to ask you how things are going, and don't be shy. Just let me have it. You disagree, let me know. I'm happy to take your point of view and ask the group and share with you what I think too. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Thanks. Have a good.
You bet. Take care.